Who was Edward Jenner? While he's not as famous as Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein, he made one of the most important discoveries of the last 200 years, a discovery that led to the eradication of a disease that had caused much misery in the human race. Evidence of this disease can be found skeletons on the first human settlements in Africa, dating back to 10,000 BC, and on faces of the mummified remains of Egyptian pharaohs, including Ramses V. In 108 AD, this global infectious disease killed almost 7 million people in Europe alone. It got so bad at one point that 2,000 people per day were dying in Rome, contributing to the fall of the Roman Empire. In the 20th century, roughly 300 million people died from it. Twice that number were disfigured for life, and millions were blinded. The disease we're talking about is smallpox, which killed 3 out of every 10 people who had it, and left survivors severely scarred for life. In the mid-18th century, scientists found that if children were infected with smallpox at a young age, they had lifetime immunity. About 2% of the children given a small dose of the virus died, tenfold less than adults. In 1757, at the age of 8, Edward Jenner was inoculated with smallpox. He developed a mild case, but it conferred lifetime immunity. It may have also conferred a lifetime interest in medicine and science. When Jenner was 13, working as an apprentice for a country surgeon in Sudbury, England, he overheard a dairymaid say, "I shall never have smallpox, for I have had cowpox. I shall never have an ugly pock-marked face." This was a common folk belief in the countryside. If someone was infected by the cowpox blisters on udders when the cows were being milked, they were protected from smallpox. Jenner wondered if it might be effective to inoculate children with cowpox, which was a fairly benign infection, rather than smallpox itself. It took 2 decades for Jenner to test this idea. On May 14, 1796, Sarah Nelms, a young dairymaid, let Jenner use the cowpox blisters on her hands to inoculate 8-year-old James Phipps. The National Library of Medicine even has a photo of her hand. After more observations of young Phipps and more volunteers, Jenner concluded that it worked. He had discovered a safe method to protect against smallpox. Since the Latin word for cow is vacca, he dubbed his new procedure vaccination, the cow method. There was some initial skepticism from the medical community of his day. However, vaccination quickly became widely accepted and a major component of public health. On May 8, 1980, 184 years, almost to the day that Sarah Nelms lent her cowpox blisters to Edward Jenner, the World Health Assembly announced that smallpox had been eradicated. Jenner didn't know the basis of immunity, but it is well understood today. The body recognizes foreign proteins on the surfaces of viruses and creates antibodies that inactivate the virus and block the infection. The proteins on the cowpox and smallpox virus are so similar that antibodies to cowpox inactivate smallpox. This concept became the basis for developing other vaccines, such as polio, whooping cough, measles, rubella, mumps, tetanus, chickenpox, human papilloma virus, yellow fever, typhus, hepatitis, and influenza, just to name a few. However, most of these infect animals too. Because we can't vaccinate the world's population of animals, we will never eliminate these viruses entirely. Scientists are still trying to understand why vaccination sometimes provides lifetime protection against infection, as is the case with smallpox, while immunity wanes with other viruses like coronavirus. We do know that even when immunity wanes, vaccination provides substantial protection against the most serious complications. The eradication of smallpox alone has likely saved over 1 billion lives. When we consider the lives saved from the many other infectious diseases, it is easy to understand why Jenner's introduction of vaccination, the cow method, is considered one of the most important advances in the history of medicine.